Hey guys, welcome back to Connor Reads. Do you ever struggle with falling asleep? Because I know I used to all the time. And the thing I used to do if I was feeling anxious or too energized or excited or for whatever reason I couldn't sleep, I used to pick up my phone and think that scrolling would help with that. But my phone essentially contains all the information that humans have ever had forever in a tiny screen that is backlit and super bright that I'm holding 2 inches from my face. The likelihood that that's going to help me sleep, very low. The second thing is, obviously I love to read, so I would have a fantasy book or a sci-fi novel or a classic, and typically those books are awesome. They will drag you along a story, meaning that something that I was supposed to only read 10, 15 pages of and then get back to bed, sometimes I end up reading for hours. So I have 4 books that are essential for your nightstand if you have these same problems as me. Let's jump into it. Well, what am I really looking for from a book that's on my nightstand? Well, first of all, I need to be bite-sized, small, digestible chunks. I don't want to be dragged into reading for hours and hours and hours if my goal is just to read for a little bit before bed. So I'm looking for books that I can kind of open up whenever. They don't have a coherent story to them. And realistically, I think the biggest thing we're looking for is something that's going to give you peace of mind. For me, that's the only reason I can't sleep. My mind is going crazy. It's worrying about something or just overthinking or I just can't make it turn off. So if I can find something that will give me peace of mind in a small amount of time, then that is exactly what I need. And I have 4 books lined up for you here. The first book is called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. The reason I love this book is because you can open it at any moment in your life to any page and it will give you some help. What this book is all about is about the power of positive thinking and the law of attraction. So to start off with, what Rhonda goes through is the power of the law of attraction, how to utilize it, so what you should be doing to utilize it, and then goes through several different chapters, including things like wealth, like life overall, relationships, money, and so on and so forth. So there's a couple of ways I would read this. Sometimes I would have it on the nightstand, I'll just open it up wherever and I'll find something that will be relatable to my life. Or if there's something that I'm specifically worried with and I feel like is keeping me up or making me anxious, I will go through the chapters or the index and I'll have a look for exactly what's worrying me, open it up to that page and then read through them. Then the whole idea of the book is that you can attract more positive situations by only thinking about that. And it's a very relaxing and peace of mind giving activity, kind of like meditation, I suppose, is attracting that to you. And I found it so useful to fall asleep with. My second book that's essential for your nightstand is this beast right here, The Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss. Now, it is a bit of a daunting book because it looks absolutely massive and it is pretty chunky. But let's talk about the author first. So Tim Ferriss is a very successful businessman. His biggest success that I know of, I might be wrong, is a podcast. So he hosted a podcast, and for that podcast, he interviewed so many incredible people. And what he decided to do was condense down those interviews. So each interview or each chapter, I suppose to say, is only roughly like 4 to 6 pages long. What that means is it is bite-sized chunks. So he's taken the very best information from the best minds that he's ever spoken to, condensed it down and put it into this book. And he's split it, which I think is the best thing. He split it between 3 categories. So you have healthy, you have wealthy, and you have wise. So much like the book previously, you could open up this book to any point and just decide to read a random interview, which will give you a bit of inspiration, a bit of peace of mind, and a bit of perspective. Or if there is something you would like to improve on, maybe tomorrow I want to get a bit healthier, maybe I want to get a bit wiser, maybe I would like to get a bit wealthier, and I suppose those 3 things, but they're the only real things that could keep us up maybe, then we can find something that specifically relates to us. You can find something from someone who you already love, someone like, I don't know, Tony Robbins is in this book, or maybe we open it up to find a random person we haven't heard of before, which may spark a new relationship and give us an opportunity to go and find out more about them. The third book that I have for you is one that I actually just reviewed, and it's called Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Now, when it comes to peace of mind, of the 3 books that I've recommended so far, I would say this one is the best. The general idea of ego is the enemy is it's rooted in Stoicism, which is a philosophy. And this book especially, as you can tell from the title, really works towards the idea of taking ego out of your life in all the different stages of life that it could be in. And there's 3 that he specifically talks about. So he talks about the aspirational period of life, a period of life where you're planning on doing something, a period of life where you're aspiring towards something and preparing to achieve, and how ego can get in the way there. The next thing is in the successful period of life. So maybe you're winning, maybe you're achieving, maybe you're a high earner and that was one of your goals, and how how ego can blind you during that period of your life and how to pull ego out of it. And then finally, during failure, maybe you're just about to fail, maybe you're going through a big failure, or maybe you're on the back end of a failure that's lasted a couple of years. And how ego might have been whispering in your ear and really caused a lot of damage to you, how to pull that out and move forwards. But again, this is broken down into really small chapters. I would say most chapters are like 3 to 6 pages, and the pages are quite small, meaning that you can just take these bite-sized chunks and then take the peace of mind from them and take a day to digest before, in the nighttime again before bed, you read another one. A second thing Ego is the Enemy does is it has quotes at the start of each chapter, and for me, I love a good quote as well, so it's something to ponder on while sleeping. And coming to my fourth and final suggestion for books that need to be on your nightstand is a trusty notebook. I've got quite a fancy one here, and for me, buying a fancy one always means that I'm going to take better care of it, use it more often, and just write more neatly as a whole, because I've got pretty bad handwriting. But a few things I would use this for. So number one is just journaling. If you're overthinking something or a little bit anxious about it, or need to just get it out and look for patterns in your life, then what you can do is you can just journal what you've been thinking about or what happened that day. And it's much easier for me anyway to pull out patterns and pull out answers from things when I can physically look at it on a page. And realistically, if you're just writing out your thoughts, you know, it would make physical sense. Like if you're struggling to sleep because you're overthinking or jumbled with thoughts, get them out your head, get them on the paper. And that way, even if you can't find a solution, you can leave them in the book for the night and then, you know, wake up, reread them and go at the problems from there. The second thing a lot of people use it for is as a dream journal. Now, I suppose that's technically cheating because you have to be asleep before you can use a dream journal. But if you have had a dream, and then write down what it's all about, and maybe you can find some meaning in that later. Me personally, I don't do that one. I just have my dreams and crack on. But a lot of people do, and they find some interesting patterns in them. And the last thing that I use a notepad for on the bedside is if I can't sleep, sometimes I'll just write a story. Not an entire story. I'm not a writer by any means. I definitely have like a high school level when it comes to writing and making it sound good. But sometimes it's a useful activity and it tires you out. You have to use your imagination to create this character or create this story. And normally the stories, I'll write it with a pen. It's normally like a page, maybe 2, maximum 3. And it's rather exhausting, but it's also quite exciting as well. And you feel like you accomplished something. So if I've had a day where I've got absolutely nothing done and I'm feeling pretty bad about it, I'll just write a little story before bed and I'll feel, you know, kind of proud. So again, I suppose the notepad can bring you some peace of mind. There you have it. Those are my 4 essential books for you to have on your nightstand, especially if you're struggling to sleep. Now, if you would like to learn a little bit more about one of these books, Ego is the Enemy, I have a link to a review that I just did, and that will be popping up on screen. Or if you're somebody who doesn't read much, therefore, you know, this is kind of a scary idea, I have recently posted a video about the 6 authors that got me absolutely hooked on reading. It's mostly focused around fantasy novels, which is something that I absolutely love. But if you haven't fallen in love with reading yet, maybe watch the video and give some of those a try, because it is very satisfying, very fulfilling, and you will get more out of it than you could possibly imagine. If you've enjoyed this, please give me a like, comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of these, or what do you keep on your nightstand as well. And other than that, have an amazing day.